Thank you, Kevin. Hi, my name is Heather, and I will be talking about conflict management. A type of conflict strategy is known as often. This allows conflict resolution while handling such conflict while negotiating in a non-emotional manner. Using these tools will help manage confrontation instead of avoiding them. First, O, which stands for observation. During the stage, one just observes and listens carefully to a problematic solution. Next, there is F, which stands for feelings. These are ways to use I messages, which is described by expressing how one feels about something. Then there is T, which means thinking. This step is for sharing what one is thinking, but one should avoid what is called an armchair psychologist. This is when someone gives mental or psychiatric advice that they have no knowledge of. With this stage, one needs to determine why someone is acting the way they are and may get responses by either explanation, excuses, denying, or admitting. The next stage is E for expectations. This stage is about what the expectations are for something and to verify that everyone is in sync. Last, there is N for negotiation. This stage is where brainstorming happens and expectations are agreed upon with a clear and mutual understanding and can be referred to as a give and take. This stage also determines who must do what, when, and where. Although not all conflicts can be resolved, it is imperative to demonstrate that there was an attempt to clear up the conflict, rather than to be avoided and or not acting on it. And I will be right back discussing about team building strategies. Thank you. Hi, welcome back. Again, my name is Heather, and I'll be discussing team building strategies and team effectiveness. Organizational citizenship behavior, or OCB, is important to achieve team success. Follower-focused leadership enhances team member successes and focuses on their followers. Servant leaders influence team effectiveness and demonstrate self-awareness, self-control, and shows empathy. As a result, this builds relationships and trust. Through self-confidence, being a role model, building trust, and having communication, servant leaders will succeed. Servant leaders also rely on one-on-one communication. In other words, it brings out a strong understanding in the employee's needs, desires, abilities, goals, and potential. Servant leaders are developed through their followers with humility, interpersonal acceptance, and expression that the followers are significant to the cause, which in result feel empowered. Recognizable stages of team dynamics are known as forming, storming, norming, and performing. Forming is where people are getting acquainted and looking to establish leadership and authority. Storming usually has conflicts over tasks, structure, and influence. Norming is where there is agreement on roles, tasks, and norm of behaviors. Performing is the payoff stage, where tension is low and trust is high. The group is very effective at this stage. Thank you, and here's Damon talking about cross-cultural communication.
My name is Yuki, and today I'm going to talk about cross-cultural and responsibility development. I want to talk about the cross-functional team development first. The cross-functional team comes together with different functions that try to work toward a goal. In most cases, the team is a group of people from different departments who are to solve a particular problem. This configuration team is likely to implement significant improvements across the organization, making it a powerful tool in continuous improvement culture. As a changing element of cross-function, the first thing is to promote innovation in different perspectives. Explore process, problems, and deliver innovative solutions that satisfy everyone. Second thing is to engage people with different influences to gain empathy and trust to understand how others are treated and to learn a lot from the process. And third thing is interactive collaboration creates an environment where you can ask and consider from a new point of view, and a multi-directional approach or members to participate and contribute to the execution of great ideas. This diversity allows members to take ownership of problems and work together to create a lasting culture of solutions. It also improves teamwork, leading to a high level of commitment to continuous improvement of all members. The cross-functional improves communication between the various distributes groups and increases the likelihood that constituents will stick together. And next, cross-personality development. Cultural differences and language barriers are some of the problems facing today's managers and leaders. The acceptance of cultural diversity is an important characteristic that leaders should have. The first is to recognize and respect cultural differences. It is important to know the differences in behavior, word, ideas, or behaviors that result from language, culture, norms, and values in order to increase the presence and effectiveness of the various cultural backgrounds. The second thing is all members contribute to the formation of groups. Building unique standards improves collaboration and optimizes team performance. Also focus on modifying norms if they come up. The third thing is knowing what goals both leaders and members are aiming at is much more important than the other teams in the co-structure teams. Leaders should explain roles and responsibilities to their members and let them know that their contribution is important. Students, we need to find common ground among our team members and encourage them to get to know each other in social contact. And fourth thing is excessive communication. The more communication you have with your team members from different cultural backgrounds, the better. In order to reduce misunderstanding due to cultural differences and to understand your grounds, it is important to use simple, clear language to make sure that you fully understand what the other person is saying. Thank you for watching my presentation, and in the next slide, I'm going to talk about culture. Hi, I'm Jerky, and in this slide, I'm going to talk about coaching development. Team coaching is a method that is used efficiently within organization to inspire top managers to implement and identify behavior changes. It will allow them to initiate, maintain, and improve leaders within the organization. The coaching of business type can be a performance coaching. Performance coaching is a process in which administrators interact with organizational members for proposal, developing capabilities, and solving problems in performing tasks. So it's continuously performing the course of the task. In this case, the leader goes beyond the role of managers, plays a new role that is different from the previous one, and serves as a coach that increases chance to be the competent and executive rather than being managed by command and control. It can also be seen that the reason for failure in leading and operating an organization is leadership skills rather than its members' professional skills. Manager coaching is to develop new leadership capabilities to have self-awareness, learning and behavior change to handle with organizational change, and ultimately to be constructive on techniques and methods to improve the success and purpose of individuals and organizations. Coaching as a leader can be effective in giving authority and empowerment. While the leader coaching clearly understands roles and tasks, it requires opinions and execution input. The leader still makes decisions, but the way leader and members communicate is two-way. Coaching leadership types are most effective for more appropriate, older, and receptive members. Coaching leader treats members directly so that they can be motivated and inspires encouragement and enthusiasm. Thanks for watching and listening to my presentation, and next we will be sharing about decision.
Hello, my name is Morgan, and you have made it to the last part of our presentation, which is decision making. As a leader, you need to know how to make decisions for you, your team members, and the organization and its future. For this, you want to have critical thinking skills. You have to apply those standards to the decision-making process, so that way your team and you know that you are able to make decisions together to meet the organizational standards. Now, you need to apply these critical and innovative thinking skills in order to improve the decision-making process within the teams and across the organization to meet the organizational goals. Now, there are 3 organizational goals that you should be keeping in mind. Formalization, which is 1, centralization, which is 2, and innovation, which is 3. Personally, I believe that innovation should be an important skill in order to make sure that your team knows that you're innovative enough to make these decisions. And now, there are 4 things that I'm going to mention about formalization, centralization, and a little bit about innovation. 1. The higher the degree of the organizational formalization, the stronger the absorptive capacity of the organization, and the higher the degree of the organization's innovation, which is good. Now, the higher the degree of the organization's centralization, lower the absorptive capacity of the organization, and then that means the lower the degree of the organizational innovation. So you always want to make sure that you're higher instead of lower. 3. The higher the degree of the organizational formalization, the slower the organizational decision speed is, and then that means the slower the degree of the organizational innovation is. When you're decision making, you want to make sure that you're not going too slow with deciding. You want to be at that right speed in order for your team to decide as well. And lastly, number 4. The degree of organizational centralization is relative to absorptive capacity and decision speed, and therefore the organizational speed is not affected. So, knowing the centralization is relative to the absorptive capacity and decision speed shouldn't matter. But the innovation speed doesn't matter as well, and it's not really affected. So, having these 4 things in mind, having the 3 skills that I've mentioned, and making sure that you apply your critical thinking skills will show your team and your organization that you have decision-making skills, which will help the decision process become so smooth for you. And I would like to thank you for watching our presentation, and hopefully you have a good rest of your day.